Today I'm going to be making a video just sort of exploring my thoughts around the first episode of a Hurricane Katrina documentary. And if you don't know, there's a new documentary entitled Hurricane Katrina Race Against Time, which is directed by Tracy A. Curry and executive produced by Ryan Coogler. Ryan Coogler is one of the main reasons I found out about the documentary, and it really made me realize how much I did not know about Hurricane Katrina. And as someone who is a 90s baby, I was quite young at the time. It was 2005 that Hurricane Katrina took place, but I think that everyone needs to know about Hurricane Katrina. It's a perfect example of how Black Americans are time after time treated poorly, just treated unfairly, discriminated against, and just even any words that's coming out of my mouth, it doesn't really, like, I'm saying this, but it's not highlighting the severity of the situation. It's not highlighting the level of grief, the level of loss that was inflicted on that community. And two, that were, and it's not, let's be honest, it's about a system, right? But when I get into it, you see there's certain individuals in this documentary, and I've only watched episode 1, and I really want to watch the rest of the season, but I wasn't feeling 100% this week, and I knew that it was going to make me feel sad. And I know I'm talking from a Black British perspective, but I at the same time, I just feel as though Black people, just talking from the perspective of a Black person who has had enough, right? Has had enough of the BS. Has had enough of the BS. So I'm in solidarity with you if you are a Black American watching this. People have the audacity to act as if racism isn't real, when there is countless examples. I just feel like Black people deserve so much better. The New Orleans community, they were failed. They were essentially left to die. Which, being poor is a crime. Being poor and Black, it's deadly. Being Black and poor is deadly. And one of the things that I also learned is that New Orleans is identified by wards, and there's such a strong community identity and history. When it came to hearing of the hurricane, right, there were some people who stayed behind, and there were some people who left. And one of the patterns that I saw in the people that were leaving is that they had the money to do so. So the documentary sort of explores different experiences with life before and after the hurricane. And Hurricane Katrina was a Category 5 hurricane. It covered the entire Gulf of Mexico. The mayor called a mandatory evacuation of New Orleans. But as I touched on before, there was conversation around the fact that there was almost like, why didn't you mention this earlier? A Superdome was then set up for refuge as a last resort. But as those government folk were aware of, there is a high poverty rate in the area. Poor people might not have access to a car, might not have money for transport, might not have the means of transportation. And then also, there was a testimony from a gentleman who was saying that there was so much traffic he couldn't leave. He had to turn around with his family and go to the Superdome. And you can just see that easily could have been prevented. And I just feel myself getting pissed off again. Just admit it, you don't like Black people. When you think about the levies, all of the things that are responsibility of the government, It's just, you know what it's reminding me of? Grenfell. Like, you lot knew that this could happen, but because money, and because we see some people as more valuable than others, this is what happens now. It really is traumatic. Really, being black is traumatic. And that being said, I have not experienced this. And I can only imagine how hard it is just even hearing about this documentary for those that were there at the time. Or for those that have family members that they lost, that have friends, pets, animals. The level of loss. The level of loss. It's just not okay. And there was a hotel, I think it's called, is it Hyatt Regency? Hyatt Regency? I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Hyatt. The mayor was, and it was like this really, really tall building. And that's quite significant when you think about how high the water rose once, because initially people thought, oh, okay, I think that's that of the storm. But then the aftermath of the hurricane was not the usual aftermath. Still want them to, I still have questions. And they talk about land of the free, American dream. For who? For who? The mayor of New Orleans at that time. He's 69 years old now. The fact that he's still... Do you have no shame? Why are you still out and about? What's going on? Like, I'm Googling and I see Twitter, I see X. That's your legacy, Ray. Whoa. And what to just cement that further in terms of the mayor, there was the hurricane plan, and Nagin, I think that's his name, scrapped it allegedly due to financial reasons. And this was like a sort of bus route that was, or like system north of the city that would pick up some of the most vulnerable of the groups that I mentioned before, so like elderly, but it was too expensive. I have no words. I'm sorry. I really have no words. So another thing that particularly stood out was the Highlands. And this shows you... And my thoughts are all over the place. But Hurricane Katrina, perfect example of environmental racism. Because of the constant... You can see there's constant blocks. Could have helped with this. Didn't do it. And the example I'm going to give now in terms of the Highlands... For thousands of years, they were natural protection to the hurricanes and storms, right? They were known for slowing down hurricanes, for example, but they were destroyed in coastal Louisiana. The storm surge gets rapidly reduced because it moves in between the trees like a maze. And this particular, like there was highlands in the lower Ninth Ward and also St. Bernard's wetlands as well. Greed, putting money over people. Yeah, there was, the highlands destroyed for money in Louisiana. If you do a quick Google search, there's loads of articles that come up around. So there's one here. Chevron destroyed Louisiana wetlands and now it must pay, gosh, the article clicked off, $740 million to clean them up. I'm not sure if Chevron is an oil company, but there's a lot of talk of oil companies. Yep. Multinational energy corporation predominantly specializing in oil and gas. It's that industry which has destroyed those highlands, that sort of staple which was protecting the community for thousands of years. How was they even allowed to do that? I think everybody that is watching this, you need to go and watch this documentary. We know how situations like this, disasters like this, have a disproportionate impact on black folk. It is not a coincidence. Look at the experiences of people trapped in the Superdome. And then in the aftermath of the hurricane, how the community, devastated, reeling and grieving, becomes the enemy. Because black people are not human. We're not considered human. The whole framing of looting. People lost everything. They are hungry. But if you're not human, that's not a need. That's not you don't deserve to satisfy hunger. You don't deserve to live in dignity. The community deserved to be prioritized, to be protected, to feel safe and considered and not treated like animals and criminals. And the use of the sort of National Guard, and how essentially once again the way that black Americans are being policed and treated as if they've done something wrong, when you've lost everything. You've literally lost everything.